Hello, my friends. Hello, and welcome once again to Stately Vaughn Manor. And today we're going to be talking about the science fiction books that I'll be reading in 2022 and beyond. A few of these are going to be beyond. I've got quite a bit to read next year. And so these are the science fiction books that are on my radar, though. So I'll be reading these this year and maybe some in 23 and 24. We'll see. You let me know if there are any of these books that you think I should prioritize over others. I'm sure some of you have read these books. A couple of them are pretty popular books. So let me know. I'm interested. So the first book or books that I'm going to be talking about are Isaac Asimov's future history books. And they include the robot books, they include the Foundation novels, they include the Empire novels. And so originally, all those books were not supposed to be all in one series, I don't think. But eventually they just kind of became that way. And so that's a lot of books, Isaac Asimov's future history books. There are a few booktubers that are reading them this year. Shawn D. Standfast is one of them. Richardson Reads and the Bookish Bryants. They're all reading the future history books of Isaac Asimov this year. They start off with this collection of short stories. This is The Complete Robot by Isaac Asimov. And then it moves on to some of the novels. So that should be fun. I've read a few of those books before, but I've never read all of them. So it'll be interesting to read them all as a series. That'll be cool. Starting with this one, The Complete Robot by Isaac Asimov. This is kind of a chunky book, but it should be a good one. Next book I'm going to talk about is one that I've been meaning to read for a little over 20 years, and that's this one. This is The Anubis Gates by Tim Powers. Justin at This Just In gave me this book a long time ago, a couple of decades ago or more. It's been a long time that I've had this book and have not read it, so I really ought to read this book. Everybody tells me that this is a really good book. I don't know why I haven't read it yet. I have no decent reason for not having read this yet. But yeah, Tim Powers, The Anubis Gates. This should be a pretty good one. Now this next one I've been meaning to read since I saw Jay Shay's review of it. Jay Shay, booktuber Jay Shay, did a review of this book. This is Gulliver of Mars by Edwin L. Arnold. I did read the Marvel Comics version of this, but not this book. So I want to read this book, Gulliver of Mars. It was originally called, what was it called originally? Just Lieutenant Governor Jones, Lieutenant Gulliver Jones was the original title. I think it was Lieutenant Gulliver Jones, His Vacation, or something weird like that. But this is a better title right there. And it's an awesome book. That's a Frazetta cover, I believe. Don't make me a liar. Yeah, that's a Frazetta cover. And so, yeah, I've been meaning to read this book for a long time. It's possibly an influence on Edgar Rice Burroughs' Mars novels, but no one can confirm whether that's true or not. No one really knows, but it seems like it certainly could be. So, Gulliver of Mars by Edwin L. Arnold. Definitely want to read that. This is a book I got recently, and it is a Clifford D. Samac book I have not read. I don't believe, time and again. I thought I had read this, but then I read the back and I'm like, no, I'm thinking of a different book. I don't think I've read this book, Time and Again. But Clifford D. Samac, he wrote my favorite science fiction novel of all time, City. So it's probably going to be pretty darn good. I look forward to reading this one. So there's that bunch of books. Now this book came out a while ago. I intended to read it and then just never did. It got pretty good buzz for a while. This is The Windup Girl by Paolo Bacigalupi. I'm sure I mispronounced that name because I mispronounce everything. So this is The Windup Girl, and it was supposed to be a really good book. For some reason, I just haven't read it yet. But I'm definitely going to prioritize it. Definitely want to read this book. The Windup Girl. Any of you read this book? Let me know. It's supposed to be good. So next year, 2022, along with everything else, is going to be the year of the mammoths for me, the year I tackle some really big books. And this is a really big book right here. This is the Book of the New Sun by Gene Wolfe. It's split up into 2 books, but you put them together, it's one really, really big book. But they split it up in 2 for some reason. I don't know. I've never read this book. I hear a lot of really, really good things about this book. Neil Gaiman says it's the best science fiction novel of the last century. So that's high praise from Neil Gaiman. Oddly enough, it doesn't have the obligatory Stephen King blurb on here. But Neil Gaiman, he's just as good. So yeah, Book of the New Sun. It's big. I'm definitely going to read this. Definitely going to read this year, I think. Now, to balance off that giant book, I got a wee little book right here. This is Rogue Protocol, the 3rd Murderbot book by Martha Wells. I read the first 2. I guess I bought the 3 of them around the same time early this year, probably in January. I read the first 2. I liked them an awful lot. I made a video about those books a long time ago when I very first started, so it was probably in February. But I never read this one for some reason. I forgot I had it, actually. I don't have any of the others, but I do have this one. So Rogue Protocol, it's a little book. I should read that book. I like the other the Murderbot books. I like the other Murderbot books. Those were good. They weren't great, but they were good. Now this next book is supposed to be really good. This is Children of Time by Adrian Tchaikovsky. I hear a lot of good things about this book. I don't think I've heard anything bad about this book. It's all been positive, what I've heard. And I guess it won the Arthur C. Clarke Award. So that's a good thing. I don't know how many people out there who are watching this have read this, but let me know if you have. It's a good sized book. I look forward to reading it. It's supposed to be really, really good. I'm surprised I haven't read it yet. I'm always reading other things. Not sure why. So I've got a couple books here, and I've heard some really good things about these books. The first one is Sea of Rust by C. Robert Cargill, who I guess writes screenplays. I guess he's in the movies, and he writes screenplays for films. So Sea of Rust. Hear good things about this book. I don't know much about this book, except that robots have taken over the world, which of course they will eventually. It's inevitable. So robots have taken over the world, and that's all I know. That's literally the only thing I know about this book. But it should be pretty good. So I'm looking forward to reading that. And I've got such good reports on that book that I went ahead and got the sequel. Now this is dangerous business whenever you do that, when you get the sequel without even having read the first book. But I did it anyway. So this is the sequel. This is Day Zero by C. Robert Cargill, the sequel to that, which I think is kind of actually a prequel. I think this takes place before Sea of Rust does. I think. I don't know. But I'm going to read both of those books because I hear really good things. I've heard such good things, I should probably read those books sooner rather than later. The last one here, I'm knocking things over. The last book I have here is a book I intended to read a long time ago, and that's the second Expanse book. I read the first one. I read the first Expanse book, but this is the second one, Caliban's War. I read the first one probably in January. I think I read the first one in January. It might have been one of the first books I read in 2021, actually. And I intended to get right to this one. I have a mess of these books lying around, these Expanse books, because I was just going to go right through them. But of course, I was distracted by other books. You know how it goes. You intend to finish the series, and there's this other book, and then this other book. You know how it is. So I was distracted, and I was distracted from reading this. So I want to read it. I know the television show is like a big deal. I watched the first couple episodes of it, and I thought they were good. I don't think that they were as good as the book, though. But then again, I didn't really finish watching the series because I don't have any time to watch television because I'm always reading these big books. So, yeah, Caliban's War by James S.A. Corey, which are actually two people pretending to be one person. But everybody knows that it's two people and not one person. So they're not doing a very good job of pretending. I don't know. Caliban's War. It's supposed to be good. And also, of course, if you've been watching my stellar series, The Books That Time Forgot, you will notice that I have a lot of science fiction books. A lot of science fiction books in boxes and things. And I can take one of those out at any time and read them. And probably will. But these are the books I'm really thinking about reading and intend on reading. So there you go. Okay, guys, that's it for today. I will catch you tomorrow. I should be here tomorrow, where I'm going to be doing a recap. Well, I'm going to be doing the December recap. I believe that's what I'm going to be doing, unless I do something else. You know, I'm wild and unpredictable that way. Okay, guys, thanks for joining me once again. I will see you next time.